I just wanted to remind you guys that at the start of this year, Drew Harris promised us that every Garda in the force would be tested and that there would be a drug testing program put in place for every Garda to be regularly drug tested. He then came out and reiterated those claims in June, and he said that it would be implemented within 6 months. Well, we're right approaching the end of the year now, and there's been no sign of any results of these drug tests. So I was wondering, Mr. Harris, has the need for the drug testing disappeared, or have you just not bothered to do the drug testing? Um, I'm very concerned about this because if we're operating a Garda force that the Commissioner feels requires regular drug testing and we're not performing the drug testing, then how is it that we have to accept a Garda's evidence in a courtroom or accept a Garda's word on the street or accept anything from a Garda officer who hasn't produced his medical records showing that he's clearly not using drugs? So it's one of those new powers that we have nowadays. We can just demand people's medical records willy-nilly anytime we think it's in need of public safety, right? So if I feel that my safety is threatened by a Garda, I'm going to demand his drug test as well as his warrant card and his identification. So just another piece of paper for the Gardaí to carry around with them is their latest drug test. And I'm not satisfied either that that a Garda may not be using cocaine or heroin or something like that. I don't want my Gardaí on any drugs, Valium, any of it, painkillers. I don't want them on any drugs at all. Anything that might affect their decisions, anything that might affect their objectivity. And we need to know as a people if our Gardaí and indeed our politicians have a high level of drug use. So the current proposition from some members of the Parliament is that the TDs need protection. Well, that might be true, but your Garda force needs drug testing. That's the first thing, because no doubt you wouldn't want TDs looked after by Gardaí who are on drugs, would you? And the other problem is that a Garda wouldn't be able to protect a person who themselves might be on drugs. So you see, you don't just need to test the Gardaí to see if they're on drugs, you need to test the politician, because the Gardaí cannot defend a person or protect a person who's on drugs. It's just not something that's plausible that a person could be on cocaine while being protected by a Garda on cocaine. But sure, that's where we live, right? You know, for the public good. We'll just not test these drug addicts and alcoholics and let them keep getting money from the state. Now, Mr. Harris, it's time that you delivered your drug test results. You've got 6 weeks in order to implement that. Have a good evening.